name is Lisa, and welcome to Vital Moments. I am filling in as a host today. Our regular hosts are away having fun, resting, doing some other things this morning. So you have the privilege of joining me this morning with our, my friend, David Baker, who is the site pastor.
I love it. My
in
friend.
Exeter. He's my friend.
That's the best.
Yeah, maybe he'll be your friend one day too. But he is the site pastor in Exeter, part of our teaching team, and he was part of the conversation yesterday. And so we're going to unpack that a little bit more today. And I'm so excited. So welcome, David, to the show.
Thanks for being here. The show is, you can call it the show. It's a podcast, but we can call it a show today because you are hosting today. Okay. So it is a show.
Awesome.
Just don't let it be a circus. Okay.
No, except that you have fun things behind you that people haven't.
I know. We had a +1 party here in Exeter, our students, and we had like 20, I think just over 20 students. And we had a popcorn machine. We had snow cones. It was a mess.
I believe
the mess equaled so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. But yeah, the desk behind me is kind of like a drop zone. So don't worry if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm not just crushing popcorn all day, even though I want to. Okay?
Well, I mean, it's a show. It's like a show, right?
It's a show. I love it. So good.
That's good. Yeah. So we're in week 2. This was week 2 of our series, Ever Wonder Why? And do you want to just briefly, quickly tell us what this series is about?
Yeah. I think I didn't think that I would love this series so much. Like I knew it was coming. We had just finished Alpha. We had so many people exploring faith through Alpha around a table and talking about life. And we had this idea to pair up a series around the end of Alpha to invite people from Alpha to continue their questions within the church. And I just fell in love with it, like the week leading up to our Ever Wonder Why series even more. And last week we talked about baptism. This week we talked about communion. And the whole heart behind it was to make sure that we don't lose the heart of the Christian faith. It's so easy to go through life and faith and kind of just get these like autopilot rituals or these spiritual ruts that we can get into when you lose the heart or the relationship with Jesus. I love how Ron, one of our regular hosts and the lead pastor of VPC, my dad says like a spiritual rut can be like a coffin with just both ends kicked out. And I was like, man, you're basically just saying you're dead and you just got to wait for someone to come in and tack in the bottom and tack in the top. And yeah, that's basically your life. And he said like this series is going to lean on some people like followers of Jesus, like the devoted ones it's going to feel like there's some pressure upon you. But when it's held in love and faith and truth, it's good because we want to refine and help like God like shape and mold you into who he needs you to be. And for some who are brand new to faith, it actually allows you to see like, I can do this. There's community around me. It's going to be tough in ways, but when you know the why behind the rituals that Jesus instructs us to do, it helps us understand who he is as the way and the truth and the life. And I think it's just an incredible series. I've had so much fun partaking in it so far. And I got the opportunity, like you said, to lead one of the conversations this past weekend around communion. So yeah, that's a little bit of behind the scenes of the series. So
yeah. And no matter where you find yourself, I think you just always have questions. I think I might have more questions now that I'm a follower of Jesus.
I know.
I just get more. I have more. And Google, as you mentioned in the conversation, has like highlighted that people actually have questions, but you did make a disclaimer that Bible over Google.
Yeah, Bible over Google every time. You can find some good stuff on Google, but don't be at your main source.
Let's go to the Bible and what the word says. And you kind of like kicked it off with this question that it really has me thinking. So I would imagine it has a lot of other people thinking as well. And you ask like, what if Jesus was doing more than just a symbolic representation? What if he was reframing a spiritual exchange that only he can do?
Yeah.
What did you say? Reforming?
No, the original question, it says, have you ever taken communion and had something change? And it actually stemmed out of Kirsten, who used to work in the Exeter site. She's now in Poplar Hill. She married our music guy, Josh, down there. And she, a few years ago, took communion, and she got to share her story one time on how it literally changed her perspective on her faith and what this meal actually means, this celebration of communion or the Lord's Supper or the Last Supper. And when I sat down to start writing this talk, I was like, holy smokes, like, when was the last time I took communion and I actually felt something change? So it really helped me understand, like, the questions from Google that people ask, like rules, meaning, purpose, the funny one of, can I kiss after communion? Can I take communion if I'm not Catholic? It really helped me understand that people are looking and desiring change and answers to this question of, like, why communion? If Jesus says, do this in remembrance of me, what's the point? And the point is that he was changing something. He was giving new meaning to an old celebration of the Passover. He was taking the bread, he was taking the wine, and that represented his body and his blood. And he was initiating something powerful that means new life through his death, burial, and resurrection. And that's where that supernatural exchange came from in my study. And that's not original to me. It was, scholars were saying, like, this was a supernatural exchange, that heaven came down to earth and took it upon himself, the one and only Son, to exchange and give us freedom. And when I understood that for myself, I was like, okay, we've got to lead people to that why. Yes, it's symbolic. Yes, you have to remember it. Yes, you got to celebrate it. It's done corporately as a family. It's amazing. It's awesome. You can't treat it like a snack. It's a meal where Jesus said, I earnestly desire to take this meal and celebrate this meal with you before I suffer, in Luke chapter 22. So right then and there, I was like, yeah, he's up to something. He's changing the perspective of who God is, or maybe not changing the perspective of who God is. He's leading them to the true truth, the deep truth, the rich truth of how God operates in his world. So it literally, this message, this study, oh man, it wrecked me. There was some moments as I was writing, I'm like, I can't believe this is what God's doing.
I know.
And we as followers of Jesus, sometimes, like I said at the top of our conversation, like, we can get into these spiritual ruts. And the Lord never wants us to get into a spiritual rut when he says, celebrate my life.
Yeah. And I
So
think
hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, partly, like, we do this in remembrance of, but, like, I think that we forget that we forget to live like we're loved, and that he died for us. And, like, yeah, like, when we come back to this remembrance, and I actually want to ask you about just to unpack the self-examination piece, because when we approach it with, like, this has the power to change me in this moment, not just that he did this one time for me, but that every time I partake in this, he's renewing and doing something new. How cool is that? And so can you share a little bit about that idea of self-examination, and like, not just approaching the table out of ritual, it's quick, it's fast, let's get it done, but that there's actually even a little bit more to it prior to the preparation of that celebration.
Yeah, one key thing that followers need to know, and people that are new to the faith, they need to realize that God's heart is for his church, because first and foremost, it's his bride. It's not ours. We so quickly, like, I talk to people. I even get in this my own self. I said it live in Exeter when I was teaching this live. Like, I sometimes put my will on the church. Like, what do I think I need to do for the church? And what does the church need through my lens? And sometimes I get kind of like a smack upside the head, not physically from God, but like, I feel like I'm getting smacked. He goes, have you actually sought my will for my church? And that helped me realize, like, if Jesus says to hold this with significance, and it's going to change your life, it's going to be a reminder and a celebration, you need to take this with serious, like, and be very careful with it. The early church in Acts, they devoted themselves to the breaking of bread. But what I love about Paul in the New Testament, who wrote a lot of the New Testament, he has a conversion moment where Jesus meets him on a road and his life's changed. He was persecuting Christians. Now he's preaching about Jesus because his life was changed. So he saw the seriousness of the life transformation and the change that Christ can bring you. And the early church in Corinth was not treating it with care or respect or a reverence. They were treating it as like a social club. They were going quick through it. They're putting their agenda on it. Like, I got places to be. I got things to do. And the result was that they were seeing lots of their people in their church that were getting sick. Some were dying. Some were being afflicted. Some were having a really hard time. And not once does it ever say in the Bible that give your life to Jesus and everything will just be rainbows and like lush meadows. Yes, he's the good shepherd. He'll lead you to still waters, but he still says there is a valley that is dark and sometimes there's death. And Paul, he sees the Corinthian church, the church in Corinth, not treating with respect. So he gives them correction like, hey, like you need to examine yourself. You actually need to wake up. He's not trying to scare them or bring judgment. He's saying like, yo, like you haven't actually fell in love, or you're not, I love what you said. You're not living like you're loved. Like that is powerful to realize as a follower of Jesus. And if I can remember, I think Ephesians chapter 5, it talks about walking in love or walking in the new life. And Paul writes to the church then there, he says, awake, O sleeper. He's trying to wake the church up. It's like your faith is asleep, or in ways your faith is dead. Like awake and start walking in these things. So if I'm getting this correct from what your question is God wants our hearts to be realigned with his so that we are an example of his hope and his reconciliation. And communion is a reminder for us and a celebration that we find joy in this salvation and we proclaim the good news until he returns. So to bunny trail all the way through is he wants our heart close with his.
Yeah.
And to self-examine it is to say, am I actually walking in step with God's spirit, his love, and his way that Jesus tells us? So hopefully that.
Yeah. No, it did. It makes me think of that Bible verse, like restore the joy of my salvation.
Salvation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Every time we get to partake, right?
Yeah.
I do want to ask you, why are we supposed to not just like, why can't I just do this at home while I am at home, like alone, like at home? I do remember during COVID, I had to do this, but we were doing it corporately, but I had to smash up some frozen blueberries because I didn't have any juice. So I just made some on the spot. Yeah. But why we're not to take this on our own.
By yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in my own Bible study time, I'm going to take communion. Why don't I take it alone? And why are we supposed to take it in like a corporate setting?
Well, first off, you can look at Luke 22 and Jesus says, it says that he's reclined with his disciples. So he's celebrating the Passover. So like I said in the talk, like you have to go back to the Old Testament. Okay. You want to know Jesus? Go to the Old Testament. It's always leading up to what Jesus is doing. He's not canceling the Old Testament. He's fulfilling it. So the Passover celebration, which was the story of the Exodus from Egypt, God's people, the Israelites, they were set free from slavery, physical slavery they were set free from. God's good and he delivers them. He tells them to celebrate his deliverance corporately. Like Exodus chapter 14, I believe it is, he talks about the whole body, the whole tribe, all of Israel come together and celebrate. Deuteronomy talks about this, that you're supposed to actually celebrate as one. No one's to be excluded. Okay. So you look at the New Testament now, Jesus, he's celebrating Passover with his dudes, his ragtag bunch of buddies that are learning to follow him as well. They don't have it all together. It even says in that passage at Luke 22, we didn't read it on Sunday, that he knows someone's going to betray him. And he literally says, I've been waiting so long to have this meal with you, even though someone's going to betray me and I'm going to suffer. So we have to look at that. He's drawing them into a close, intimate relationship. And then if you go back to Paul again in the New Testament, he often says that we are a body and Christ is the head. So we are like limbs stretched out that make a body that become Christ's actions and his way of life. And we actually expose to the world who he is. So when we celebrate, we're supposed to come together as the body to be strengthened, to be united, and to corporately worship him. Like God desires to be worshiped. He desires to be celebrated because he is fulfilling all of his promises, all of the things that he said he would do, because in Hebrews it says that he was the same yesterday, today, and forever. So when it says to gather corporately in the Old Testament and then gather together in communion together in the New Testament, it's not a suggestion. It's actually like God saying, I need you to do this and I want you to do that. It's not a question. You have to. Yeah. And that's like this past Sunday for me, like watching our Exeter site come together and take it corporately and celebrate. like my eyes were opened to he's building his church. He's building his body. One guy came up to me. He goes, man, like the craziest thing happened to me. I was like, what? I'm like, oh no, what happened? And he goes, man, like I came to the table and I received communion and I got this smell of incense in my nose. And I was like, oh, wow, seriously? He goes, yeah, it reminded me when I was going to church as a young guy. I was like, dude, God's reminding you that your faith is real and he's been close. Because you remember as a child when they would usher in his presence, because that was the practice of the faith system that he was in. They would usher in God's presence through incense. And I said, he's speaking to you and he's revealing to you that he's still close to you, even though you're at a different church. And he was just like, oh man. And then I wake up this morning and I'm reading in Ephesians chapter 5, and it talks about how we're supposed to walk with the Lord, and it's a pleasing aroma. It's a pleasing incense. And I'm like, man, God, you're so good.
Did
You're so
you
close
send that to him?
Oh yeah, I texted him on the way to work today. I was like, yo, bro, you got to listen to this and you got to read this. Like God's speaking to us right now.
That's
And he hasn't texted me back yet when we're recording this. But yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah. I really do believe that. I even just watching it in Poplar Hill, everybody partake. Like a celebration is not really a celebration alone. Like a celebration is with others.
It's pretty lonely when you're celebrating all by yourself.
Yeah. But it's like overwhelming and moving to think that, the God that saved me, that did what he did for me, has done this for everyone else, no matter where people are at. Like, got to watch people who have been following Jesus for just a little bit and some people for a long time, and people are moved, just to reflect, to be refined. Like you said, like some things may be pointed out to them, not in a shameful way or whatnot, but in a conviction, because he loves us. Yeah. So he wants to draw us close to him, but pretty cool to witness that and watch that happen. So
yeah. And what's happening in this series is, like we said, like it's leaning on a few. Like I got a few messages after yesterday, even after our conversation around baptism, people are like, whoa. And we're like, yeah, it's an okay whoa. Like, it's okay. Like, you have to sit in the tension of this, right? Like, you can't rely on TikTok theology. You can't rely on someone telling you theology through a social media platform. You have to sit in proximity with people. Like, that's why we say, hey, on our online service, we even say, like, here's the message, but it's a taste of who we are. If you're close to one of our sites, we desire you to have the strength and the ability to get to one of the sites, because you'll actually get the full taste of what God is doing in these small towns through VBC, because it's not us, it's him. We're stepping in obedience, and this is leaning on some people. And you have to remember that the pressure or the heat that you may be feeling, or the tension that you're feeling, is not bad when it's done in love and it's done in truth, and we ask God for his perspective. Like, Lord, have I been placing my own agenda, my own opinions upon this? Because he says, like, to die to self. Like, you're not supposed to be filled with your own will, your own desires. He says, die to self, pick up your cross, and follow me. Like, that's saying, I'm choosing your life. And then when we come to these questions of why, it's like we're actually saying, okay, God, why you? Why is this your way? Why is this your truth? And why is this the life that you desire for us? And eyes are being opened, as hard as it is. And that's what's amazing.
Yeah, but that's what turns the ritual into, that deep relationship, instead of it being a rut. Like, I just do this thing because I feel that I'm supposed to, or this is what everybody else is doing. Yeah. But when we actually know why, like, I'm so grateful that we as a church are actually unpacking these types of questions. Because I remember years ago going to my sister's church, and before I was a Christian, and they would do communion and different types of things. And I had no idea why.
Yeah.
I was very confused about it all. And it didn't really make sense to me. And now I get to, like, even still unpack those questions, because there's layers to them. Depth to them.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is truly enlightening. So
Yeah.
it's
So
fun.
yeah, we're grateful, David, that you have unpacked this question for us. I think it's going to just spark even more questions inside, which
Yeah.
is okay, and draw people closer to God.
Mhm.
And you kind of end it with this question, like, are you treating the table with casualty? So that's the kind of question that is just going to keep ringing out in people's minds as they approach this, and not just like during communion, but the days leading up or when we partake. But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience today?
I like, just to be point blank with our connect groups, like, know that everyone's at a different stage. Like when you're getting ready for a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you gather at VBC in your connect group, and remember that everyone's at a different stage of understanding. Their commitment level is a little different than all of ours, and that's a beautiful thing of why we love being the body of Christ in small towns. Is Christ had a heart for all people, and he gave time and space for everyone to wrestle with these things. You look at doubting Thomas, one of the disciples, like after the resurrection, he's like, I don't believe until I see the holes in your hands. And Jesus goes, yeah, here, right? And we give everyone an opportunity to have their eyes open. So when you're sitting in Connect Group this week, and you have a holy conviction about the power of communion, love that holy conviction, but don't press it upon anyone else in a way that is judgmental or a frustrating way. Allow people to fall in love with Christ the way that he's speaking to them. And everyone's going to learn and have the sanctification differently, which is so cool. Because God knows the heart. God knows the heart. And we get just to walk with these hearts, which is just incredible. So that's my last little thought.
Yeah. So make space, connect groups for all the people that are sitting in that room with you this week. What if you're not in a connect group, David?
Ooh, the rumbling is that many connect groups are starting to percolate and start and launch. Now, I know some connect groups are going to wait to the fall because summertime's a little bit tough, but some of our sites are launching new connect groups before the summer, which is good. So if you're looking for that info, just go to our website, next steps page, and the particular site pastor of where you're maybe attending or closest to will receive your submission and get you connected hopefully sooner than later. So
yeah, it's life-changing to be in a connect group. And so if that's on your heart to do so, you should take David's instruction to do so. Get to the website and just take that step forward. It's been such a pleasure, David, to talk to you this morning. What a great way to start a Monday morning. It's amazing. And the conversation is going to continue. We're still in this series for another 2 weeks. So please stay plugged in. So everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.